Hey guys, Harrison, I'm back at it once again for a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 11 of the Online Racer for Formula 1 2013. Formula 1 2013 online gameplay, as well as obviously real life Formula 1 topics that are worth talking about. And because it's his birthday, happy birthday to Mr. Michael Schumacher, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, I wish I could be doing this commentary under brighter news, if that makes any sense. You know, obviously, given the news of his ski crash that happened, I think it was 3 days ago now, as it happened 3 or 4 days ago, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but it's still ongoing. He's still in the coma right now. He's I think the term that's been used is a critical but stable condition. And obviously, you know, we'll have to watch and wait and see as time goes on. I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, but a lot of people wanted me to talk about Michael Schumacher and talk about his current situation and my opinion on everything. And I'll get to the ski crash stuff, like I said, at the end. But to me, I've always felt like I owe Michael Schumacher a lot. I'll be honest, I probably would not have given Formula 1 the attention I would have done if it wasn't for Schumacher. Because when I was growing up, I've kind of mentioned this before in previous videos, but I'm going to go on about it again a little bit here. Not in quite as much detail, but when I was growing up, I'm 21 years old now. But when I was growing up, it was Schumacher. I became a Formula 1 fan, I think, in 99. I think 99 was the first season I can remember. 99, 2000, that kind of time. And back then, Schumacher was the guy. It's like there was this aura to him as a racer and as a character. He was the guy. You could tell he wasn't even the world champion, like Mika champion, but it was like, oh, it's Schumacher, and you know, he was the guy because he'd already had 2 world championships, and I didn't even realize back then all the controversy he'd been involved in since his career had started. I mean, I was only 7, 8 years old, so I didn't understand, but I grew up and kind of became a Formula 1 fan while watching him dominate and how he changed the sport forever. I think people don't realise that Schumacher's influence has forever changed the sport. Because to me, as I realised, as I learned more about Schumacher, it kind of became clear that he was a big reason the sport is how it is today. He was a trendsetter. He called him the blueprint because he became the guy that transcended the sport and kind of made Formula 1 what it is today, for better or worse. I mean, he was the guy that had a hardcore training regime between races. He was shredded. There wasn't an ounce of body fat on him. And I'm saying this from a deeply straight standpoint. But it's one of those things where, yeah, he was chiseled. He was a proper athlete. He wasn't one of these old school drivers that would go, like James Hunt, would go for a pint after the race and just shag lots of women and smoke cigarettes. No, Schumacher was an athlete. He was ripped. He was shredded. He had a hardcore regime. And like I said, he rewrote the rule book when it came to Formula 1 drivers. He had Ayrton Senna's raw speed and aggression with the brain of Alan Prost and the fitness of a marathon athlete or a triathlete, like Jenson Button's fitness. Because I know Jenson Button has a lot of triathlons in his spare time. There's a prime example of a comparison, you could say, to another great driver. And he became the blueprint for drivers of the future and the drivers we idolise now, the Fernando Alonso's, the Lewis Hamiltons, the Sebastian Vettels of the world, even if Hamilton likes his sweets now and again. And I've mentioned this stat before, but between 2000 and 2004, when he won those 5 straight championships, he won 45 out of 85 races. That's more than 50%. And that's something that now I don't think even Sebastian Vettel will be able to top. His achievements: 91 race wins, over 60 pole positions, over 50 fastest laps. I think more laps led than any driver in history. I think some of those records I don't think will ever go down. I think the 91 race wins I don't think will ever be touched again, because to be consistently that good for so long, that he's averaged like 5 wins a season, even though like the last 3 with Mercedes weren't good at all and didn't win a single race despite that. I mean, to have 91 career wins, I don't think that will ever be topped. I mean, looking at the rest of the list, I mean, I know Prost has 51, I know Senna has 41, Vettel has 39. I mean, just overall, I don't think that will never be beaten. I don't think anyone will be consistently that good again to get up there, given how often the rules change in Formula 1 as well. And Schumacher was a big reason the rules changed. Schumacher was, let's be real here, a cheat. He was a rule breaker. He would do literally anything, and I mean anything, to win, to the point where he was taking out other drivers like Damon Hill. He tried it on Jeff, failed on that one. And I remember the call from Martin Rundle, the commentary was, Michael, you hit him in the wrong place this time. Because, yeah, Martin Rundle knew exactly what was up. It was hilarious. He was banned for a year. The dude broke both his legs. He came back. He dominated. Retired when Kimi Räikkönen came around. And, came back again and was able to, be semi-competitive. And then that pole position around Monaco last season in that Mercedes was magical. It's like he was rolling back the years all over again. It was just beautiful to watch. Even at the age of 43, he was able to do things like that. It's just beyond comprehension, in my opinion. It's just very, very special to watch. And I think a lot of us owe a lot to Michael Schumacher, because imagine how different the sport would be if it wasn't for him. I mean, we wouldn't have, I think we'd be given a lot more drivers a lot more recognition for their careers if it wasn't for Schumacher. For example, I know David Coulthard wrote a column about this the other day. I think it was for the Daily Mail, where he was talking about, Schumacher was great, but it kind of made me look a little bit better because I was able to keep it close with him for a couple of years. So it was just his way of saying, well, I couldn't have been that bad if Schumacher was that dominant. And, it's one of those things where, a lot of people like to question his legacy. But he is the most successful driver of all time. He's second on my all-time list behind Juan Manuel Fangio. I've kind of mentioned my top 5 of all time before. For those people that keep asking me, I've always had it Fangio, Schumacher, Prost, Senna, and then Clark, maybe 5th. I always keep rotating the number 5 slot. It's always, I'll keep bobbing between Clark, Vettel, Niki Lauda, and Sir Jackie Stewart, or putting in that slot and thinking about it, but whatever. But in the meantime, it's one of those things where it's sad that we have to celebrate his birthday while he's in a horrible condition. And let's talk about the ski crash. And my mum was, when she found out about it, she was quite cynical about this, saying like, oh, he's a Formula 1 driver, he's used to taking that adrenaline rush, and he had to do something like this, just to clear his mind off it. He was skiing off piste, these guys that have all this adrenaline need, they need their thrill seeking, their thrill seeking experience. And yeah, I can see where she was coming from on that one, and I can see where the logic is behind this, when it does make some sense. Just the concept of having to tap into that part of your brain that has lived on the edge for 20 years or so, that's had some horrible accidents where you could have easily died. What Formula 1 was like back in the early 90s, when it was super dangerous still. I mean, obviously Ayrton Senna was the poster child for dangerous driving in Formula 1, and obviously in his crash in 94. So it's one of those things where, as a sport where you've been around speed for so long, maybe you need to scratch that itch a little bit to do something like this. And obviously it was tragic. He hit his head on a rock, and apparently it wasn't even the speed, it was just the impact that did it. And obviously his condition worsened, fell into a coma. They've had to operate on it twice already. It's one of those things where it's just awful. I think the real challenge is starting to sink in, and I think now on his birthday, I think only now people are starting to realise just how serious this is. And when doctors say it's critical, there really is. It really is. I mean, there's no joke about it. It's one of those things. Obviously, as a fan in Formula 1, and obviously as a huge Schumacher fan, and I know a lot of people are, I know this hit ex-Matty G really hard, because I know Schumacher was his idol, and he used to be my idol until I kind of grew up and realised some of the things he'd done, which I kind of lost a bit of respect for him, but obviously still admired his greatness. And I think he's one of the most important, if not the most important figure in Formula 1 history, for sure. And it's just awful to see him in this condition. And obviously, of course, on behalf of me and everyone in the Harrison family, we wish him well. He's in my full. I hope he makes a full recovery, because I can relate. I mean, my auntie is going through something like this right now at the moment. She had a brain tumor discovered about 2 months ago, and she had hers removed. This is the first time I've spoken about this on camera. And she had hers removed, and she had a blood clot in her brain when she had hers removed, so they had to operate on her twice. And brain surgery is always very, very dangerous. It's always kind of a path into the unknown, because we don't know for sure about what happens in the brain, especially going through trauma. I mean, I've talked about concussions in sport before in videos, and you know, it's still kind of a mystery, discovering more as time goes on. Then things like MMA in the NFL, things like that, and you know, we still don't know for sure. There's still so many mysteries when it comes to the brain. And my auntie's still in a coma right now. She's kind of, you know, up and around. She's kind of woken up, but her brain's stopping her from speaking. And I don't know if, according to the damage that's been done already, that apparently she won't remember any of our family anymore. So I don't know. It's still kind of a mystery. We don't know. We're trying to, you know, get through to her in the same way that I know people are trying to get through to Michael, and I know the doctors that are down there are doing the best they possibly can. And I just hope they make a full recovery. I hope obviously my auntie makes a full recovery as well. But I can relate, and you know, seeing some of these stories and how the whole thing is going on, I can actually relate, because I kind of know what's going on and I've seen it happen before. So it's one of those really relatable things that hit me quite hard as well, because again, it's just one of those things that's happened in my family, so I know what's going on. Before I go, I just want to give a quick shout out and a mention to Gary Hartstein, the former Formula 1 doctor, who has been absolutely outstanding in terms of giving the average person information who may not know about the severity of Michael Schumacher's situation, and you know, the ins and outs, the you know, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, all the important information broken down in more layman's terms. So I'd highly recommend, if you're a fan and you want to know more about the situation, you follow Gary Hartstein on Twitter. His Twitter address is @former_F1doc. Find it, follow him if you want all the information about his situation, about Schumacher's situation. I really recommend it. He's fantastic in breaking that down in ways which you know, most people can understand, because you know, these things can be quite intimidating to understand and just comprehend and break down, and he's brilliant at that. So if you haven't already, go follow him on Twitter. I'll put a link in the description as well to his Twitter address. And you know, if you guys want to talk to me about Schumacher, you know, where you have him on your all-time list, or how did he impact you in your F1 life? If you're a newer fan, if you're an older fan, I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear everything about Schumacher. Happy birthday, Michael, and let's hope you can pull through. And of course, I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the fans of this channel when I say, get well soon, my man. Until next time, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.